All right, why don't we get started today? So this is the CIS 3115 machine learning class. I'm Tom. I've had a couple of you in class before. So some of you are new students, so that's good. We'll do a normal introduction course and walk through the overview of this material, get us started today. Um, and again, if you haven't had a course from me, it kind of will lay out how this course runs in particular, but a lot of my courses run similarly. So again, if you have a course from me before, just pay attention. There'll be just, some tweaks to how this course is set up. Um, so I'm this again, we run this course all in Brightspace. So if you're not used to using a course in Brightspace, everything is done through Brightspace. So you have to get into Brightspace and go to the course. You'll submit everything, grades, everything will be done in Brightspace here. We'll live and breathe Brightspace for this course. This is also a high flex course, meaning that there are some online students and some in-class students. So you are the in-class students here, and we have some online students. So everything's combined in the same Brightspace section. So there will be online, maybe asynchronous students working alongside of you in this course and different things. There'll be times when and again, you as on-campus students can kind of choose between the two if you want to do more of a, asynchronous, like again, often for if you're on a sports team and you're going to be gone on a Thursday, Friday, you're going to miss Thursday class, just switch to, you can do that online those days. I know some people have work schedules they have to work into this. So as far as I'm concerned, I treat everyone the same, and I really don't differentiate between if you're online or in class for this course. And so for that reason, like right now, I'm recording this course and I'm on Zoom. So again, if you are somewhere and you want to listen to this course live, it's always on Zoom, and we'll show you the link again. It's always the same link for all my courses here. I also post a recording of it. So if I go like to Unit 1, right now I have left up the sample recording from last year from January 16th, but right after the class, I'll delete this and replace it with the recording from today, January 14th, 2025. So this recording will be posted here as soon as this class is done for this. So again, it's a hybrid course or a high flex course as far as that goes. There will be times where we'll work in teams. And so when we do that, we will, if you're in, those are generally be Thursdays, we might do team or group activities. If you're in class, you'll be assigned synchronous, an in-class group, and you'll work through an activity in class sometimes. And if you're not in class or asynchronous, you'll be assigned an asynchronous team and work through that. So materials will be set up that way. Let's just talk about, again, I'm going into Unit 0 and just doing an overview of the course here. So as far as the topics go, I'll dive more deeply in these in just a sec, but basically we look at how AI and machine learning is used to solve problems. We look at traditional methods, support vector machines, decision trees, those sorts of things. They're not the glamorous AI that we hear about today a lot, but they are actually the workhorses of machine learning and data processing, and they're still used a lot out there. When you talk to people who actually do this in the field, they say, well, at least 50% of our problems can be solved just with, we can just do these simple models to do that stuff. They also set up the framework for our more advanced models. We look at some unsupervised models, and we'll talk about those, some clustering techniques, principal component analysis, those sort of stuff. And then we'll dive into neural networks here. Those are the framework of all of today's modern AI systems. We'll start with the basics, how a neural network works, where did they come from? will then build up to today's modern like generative AI and large language model sort of stuff here. I'll just warn you, this outline is a year and a half old, so it has actually been condensed a lot here. What I almost have to do every year is take the whole course, 15 weeks course, and teach it in 13 weeks and add 2 new weeks on at the end there, because there's always new stuff going on here. So nowadays, this transformer stuff here, although it's just kind of some small bullet point at the end, this is almost the last third of the course these days because it is so important to what we're doing, what all the AI systems are. So, and again, this is the flex format course here. Related to this, generally everything will be due on Sunday nights here. Again, we have some working adults in this course, and again, often they can't get to the course material until the weekend, so they can do that. We will do so, and we'll work through things throughout the week, and you're free to turn them in any point, but the final deadline is Sunday night, midnight Sunday night for everything here. So now, this course follows a 2-week kind of cadence there. A lot of my courses, it's more of a 1-week cadence. Every week is the same. This course is a little different where we do 2 weeks here. So the first week, we'll start on Tuesday. We'll introduce some new topic. We'll go over that topic on Tuesday, watch some videos, or lecture on it, try some things out, do some little things in class. So there'll be Tuesday we'll get us started on the project. Thursday we'll do a learning activity. We'll do it in class, but again, we'll record the video and you can do it online also for it. We'll introduce stuff. Oh, and then the activity will be do that Sunday night there. Then the next week, again, Tuesday we introduce some new materials. Thursday we do a practice activity. Let's do that Sunday night. But also every 2 weeks, there are some discussions that are due and a project that's due. So we will introduce that project and the discussion posts the first week, but they won't be due that week. They will be due the next week here. So every other week, you'll have a busier week because you'll have a normal assignment due, but you also have a project to do and discussion posts. So you can kind of spread that out by getting your discussion posts done during the first week there, and maybe even start the project. You probably won't be able to do the whole project the first week because you don't know everything yet, but just be aware that there's this kind of 2 weeks cadence here. I also will warn you with AI and stuff, I'm moving this class so that the project what you'll submit with the project will include some sort of video a recorded submission. So rather than submitting just what we call a notebook with your running and a reflection on the notebook, the idea is with reflective learning is that it helps you go back and look at this and kind of formalize what you've learned and remind yourself what you're learning, that sort of stuff. And there's a whole process for reflective learning. But AI writes really good reflective learning without you learning very much. And so I'm trying to combat. We want to use AI in this course. We use AI a lot, certainly for a lot of stuff. But I also want to make sure you're learning this stuff. So I'll just note that for the project, I haven't quite figured out exactly. We'll use the Brightspace submission here. So you will just be submitting a short video reflection rather than a written, well, probably both those. So we'll talk more about that next week when we get more into the first project. So, okay, so this is a week 1. So today we'll just go over the new material there. Thursday we'll do a practice, well, we'll do an activity, which we call a notebook activity, where you'll walk through some code and that sort of stuff here. Um, so a couple things, libraries, again, some of you will, if you're applying for like summer internships or research, you might want to even now be putting this stuff on your resume that this is what you'll be using or doing, that you're doing this class stuff. And that's good. These are the frameworks and stuff we'll be using in the class. So by the end of the class, you'll have used all of these Panda libraries and that sort of stuff. Now, if you have a non-technical resume, you probably don't want to mention these sorts of stuff. But again, some of you have more of a computer or technical resume. And again, it's not uncommon to list some of these here for this. Particularly if you see job postings that require you, that ask for this or have these as you know, something, an optional or a good thing to have for this position. So just so you know. We don't have a textbook for the class. I teach a grad version of this, and we do have a textbook for that that's listed here. So a lot of this course is kind of built around that. So if you really want to buy a book, you can get that book and work through it. And a fair amount of this is tied in. But again, it has a little more theory and stuff in it. It's that we go over at the grad level than this level. So again, there's no textbook required here. I will provide a lot of the material for you in different ways as we go through this. So, okay. Questions on that so far? While we're here, let's jump to the syllabus here also. So, yeah, so in the syllabus and a couple other places, yeah, this is my cell phone number. So you can certainly use that. A lot of students are comfortable texting me questions or stuff like that. You can text me anytime. I tell my students when I go to bed, my phone's smart enough to shut off, go into quiet mode. So you can text me at any time, day or night, and my phone will decide whether or not to give me that text message. So I'm not ignoring you. My phone is ignoring you at night there. So, but I have office hours in the evenings and stuff like that. So feel free to do that. I have formal office hours Wednesday from 9 to 11, but I'm generally here on campus from about 8:30 till 3:30 or 4 most days here. I teach a lot on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm free a lot on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays there for that. You can also sign up for Zoom appointments, particularly if you're an async or an online student. But again, I have a number of regular students to sign up for these. So again, right now they're set up for Thursday and Sunday nights. I generally do it Sunday nights because again, things are due Sunday night. So I find some students don't kind of put the work off until Sunday night. I don't understand that, but we have office hours there. So again, you can sign up for an appointment. I have students who just regularly sign up for like a 7 o'clock Sunday appointment just because they want to discuss stuff every week and go over material, and that's fine if you want to do that or if you need help. But again, and I also have students who just text me and say, oh, it's Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Can you help me, or can we jump on Zoom now? And that's fine also. Although I'll just warn you, if I'm out walking or something like that, I'm not going to be able to do it. But again, you can certainly ask. So this is our Zoom link for the class. So yeah, if you want to be online or on Zoom, you can do that. And again, I'll be recording this here also. So this is a Veritas Natural Science Pathway course. So we'll have the mix, it's also worked. So it's a Veritas natural science. So you might be taking it for a Veritas credit for your science requirement. It's also part of the data analytics minor. So you might be taking this as a data analytics course for minors. It's also in the computer, a couple of the computer majors. So there'll be a number of computer majors in here. So it's kind of fun because we get a little diverse set of students in this. So. Okay, so every week we'll talk about this. So there'll be projects due every 2 weeks. So we'll end up redoing 6 projects, and they're worth 25 points here, a little more active. There are explore activities every unit, learning notebooks every unit, and discussion posts every unit. So you'll be doing those. And at the end, we'll do a final paper because it's a Veritas course. We have to do a fair amount of writing, and we have to do drafts on our writing. So the final paper will be a lot of the writing that's tied into this course here. And again, we'll talk about these. These will all be showing up in Brightspace. So we'll look at those in just a sec. Here's kind of our current schedule. This is last year's schedule. And I'll just warn you, at least for the second half, I'm probably going to push everything up and free up at least another week here. I haven't quite figured out how to do what I'm going to have to cut in this course to give us a little more time at the end for, because we got to at least talk about reasoning models and stuff like that, the new versions of those. So we'll see. Okay. Software setup. We'll be using something called Google Collaboratory, and we'll play with that in just a sec. And we'll use something called notebooks and talk about that I'm going to wait and you can read through that, but I have some more stuff in Unit 1 on that. So, as far as discussion posts for Unit 1, it's always fun. I like it to do short intro postings here. You don't have to, but if you can, just do a short intro posting. I'm sure you've done enough of these. I'm not going to require you to say something or this, that. Just tell us something interesting about, maybe that you like to do or you did over break, or say something to introduce you to the class. Particularly online students, it's nice to hear from them, especially if I haven't seen you before in that. And it's good to in-class students to just introduce, especially since not all of you know each other in this course. So that's fine here. Okay, let's look at Unit 1. So this will be kind of our typical unit here. So we'll have some learning resources that we'll go over typically on Tuesday. So today's Tuesday, so I'll go over these shortly and we'll go over this. And again, this unit is more of an introduction to machine learning, so we'll just do kind of an intro stuff here. We'll post recordings here, and again, I will update this recording at the end of class with the one from today will be posted here. Generally, every unit you have to do an explore activity. This is like an outside tutorial that you have to do that tied to this topic. Here, we'll use a number of kind of companies that provide these free tutorials. We'll tend to use, again, the big three, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. We'll also sometimes use Kaggle, which is a big name in machine learning competitions and stuff. You'll hear more about Kaggle as we go through the course. There. So, and again, as we go on, there may be some other ones that you have. So what you'll want to do is go through this tutorial and then write a reflection for this stuff. So let's just show you one of those. So if you go to Microsoft here, you can just do it now. I think you can do this whole tutorial without signing in, although if you sign in, Microsoft will keep track of you, and you will also yeah, it'll note what you've done and what you haven't. And you can just sign in with your normal school account here. Now, if I sign in, it just shows that I'm signed in here. Keeps track of how many points I have and stuff like that. But this is just an intro to machine learning. Here, there are these units. It just walks you through these stuff for this. So, what are, and again, you can just go continue here. This just shows you a table of content. So read through this, hit continue. Read through this. What is this doing? What is this? Hit continue. You read through this. And again, there should be some exercises or some questions you may have to answer for this. Oh, now they're actually verifying that I'm a person. So that's interesting. So match the number of rocks with the number on the left. Well, that's a cool one. There. Okay. I've not seen that AI. So, okay. So again, they'll walk you through and have you do some exercise here for this. Now at the end of these, sometimes you'll be able to earn a badge or some sort of reward, and we'll talk about later how you can actually post those to your LinkedIn profile and show that. I mean, you're not probably going to do the intro to machine learning thing on your LinkedIn profile, but when we get to the more advanced ones, some of those are useful. So again, you can do the Microsoft Learn one. You can do like Kaggle has a similar intro with these modules. It walks you through this. Generally, we want you to spend 45 minutes to an hour on this sort of stuff. So the Kaggle one is a 3-hour course. So again, you're probably not going to want to do this. I say start with how modules work and explore at least one other lesson. So you want to do this and see how far you can get. And again, on some of these, depending on your background, you might want to jump into these a little bit more. If some of these sound basic, you can start this. So again, you can kind of choose how you want to approach these models or these learning exercises. Some of like the Microsoft Learn, how many let's go back. Let me go back to the beginning. I mean, that should be something you should be able to do right in the time. So again, that's again, that's under 45 minutes just to go through that they estimate. So that you could do the whole thing. Now, some of these are a little, you have to create a login for, particularly the Amazon. So the Google ones, you can use our school login. The Microsoft, you can use our school login. The Kaggle ones, you don't need the login. The Amazon AWS ones, you do here. So if I go to those, you have to create some sort of a skill builder login to get access to their learning systems. So I was kind of suggested, there'll be options for Amazon throughout. And if you want to do this, just create a sign in here for this stuff. I'm kind of already an admin in some Amazon stuff, so it's a little more complicated for me to create a login, but I think you should be able to create a login and just do a Amazon AWS Builder ID, create or sign in for that here. I don't think you need to have an Amazon like an Amazon shopping login, although if you have one of those, you can use that here too, I believe. Again, I have a couple different Amazon logins and different things, so it gets rather confusing to me which one's which there. So let me know if you try this and if you have some problems, because I'd like to know about this and suggest there, because I know there's a way for me to go. Well, there used to be a way for me to go in and set up student logins, but I don't think I need to do that currently. So let me know. So again, and you can choose one of these activities, and every week there'll be an explore activity for you to work on here. Okay, so that's the explore activity. Go out, do this tutorial, buy these other vendors, and finish that. The learning notebooks we'll do every Thursday. We'll do them in class. We'll walk through this. Again, if you're not in class on Thursday, you'll have to walk through them yourself. They'll tend to be a video. I will tend to also record the Thursday walkthrough videos here also. So that'll be due every Thursday. So every week you'll have to do an explore and a video here. Now, the discussion topics, one of the interesting things with Brightspace that you'll see is that I shift all the dates. I copy the class from last year and we shift all the dates forward. But for some reason, there's an error in Brightspace where the due dates for the discussions are not moved forward. So if you see the due dates for the discussions not moved forward, just be aware that that's just because I haven't moved them forward here. So I have to manually go in and set the dates. So again, discussions and projects are due every 2 weeks here. So the discussion isn't actually due till January 26th, so in 2 weeks here, and so is the project. But you can start looking at those now. Now, like this project, you're going to actually work in partners, and we want to assign partners, I don't think until next week on this. So unfortunately, project 1 and 2 is not, you can't really, well, you can start looking at it, I guess. But, okay, so every week, do the explore activity. On Thursday, we'll walk through the learning notebook, but you have to do that every week. Also, submit that. And again, both of these are due on Sunday nights. And then every 2 weeks, you'll also have discussions and a project due. That make sense? And every 2 weeks that will repeat throughout the course. So, all right, let's learn something. Oh, just a quick thing. Again, since sometimes people don't know where to find it, this is the Zoom meeting link, and this is my appointment calendar here for that. So if you need to get a hold of me or need to schedule an appointment, you can there also. Okay, let's go into the learning resources here. I'm going to jump. Let's see, I'm going to play a little bit of this video. It's an old video from from Google talking about what AI is going. So I'm just going to play this one.
Learning today. The tooling has gotten quite good. All you need is data, developers, and a willingness to take the plunge. For our purposes,
so we will be using a fair amount of the Google tool set, including TensorFlow for that and stuff like that. There are other libraries out there, but we will tend to use the Google tool set a lot in this course.
Machine learning captures 5 rules. Using data to answer questions. While I wouldn't use such a short answer for an essay prompt on an exam, it serves a useful purpose for us here. In particular, we can split the definition into 2 parts, using data and answer questions. These 2 pieces broadly outline the 2 sides of machine learning, both of them equally important. Using data is what we refer to as training, while answering questions is referred to as making predictions or inference. Now, let's drill into those two sides briefly for a little bit. Training refers to using our data to inform the creation and fine-tuning of a predictive model. This
So we will be using Python code in this class, but this isn't a Python coding class. And so I will tend to provide you with the Python code that you'll start in. But at times we will have to tweak or change the code to adjust this. But again, a lot of it is going to be done for these models. So one thing that's interesting nowadays with machine learning is we do not have to program the computer to do everything. Like if we want to recognize what bird species is in an image, we don't have to program, if you see blue feathers on here, then it's maybe a blue jay, and you don't have to program a whole bunch of rules. And all you do is provide a whole bunch of data and the model and a training method, and the model will train itself for that. And so we just need a lot of data that's labeled. We run it through a training mechanism, and then we generate a model out the other side. So we'll do a lot of this. Initially, this training will just take a minute or two. By the end of the class, we'll be spending hours. Well, we won't. The computer will spend hours training these models. We'll get it training. You'll go eat a meal, do something else, come back and see if it's still training these models here. So that's the process we'll be using a lot.
predictive model can then be used to serve up predictions on previously unseen data and answer those questions. As more data is gathered, the model can be improved over time and new predictive models deployed. As you may have noticed, the key component of this entire process is data. Everything hinges on data.
Okay, so you can watch. I just wanted to show you that model. Let's just jump into this one where do I want to jump in here? I don't know why I don't have this jumping to the exact spot. I should.
We load our data into a suitable place and prepare it for use in our machine learning training. We'll first put all our data together, then randomize the order. We wouldn't want the order of our data to affect how we learn, since that's not part of determining whether a drink is beer or wine. In other words, we want to make a determination of what a drink is, independent of what drink came before or after it in the CIS.
So we'll look at a broad range of problems to apply here. More than just, can you tell if this drink is beer or wine? Not that that's not an important question to solve. We'll spend a lot of time looking at, is this picture a cat or a dog? Or actually, we'll look at a lot of pictures of, these are pictures of iris flowers, and can you identify the species of iris flower? But again, we'll also look at, images, CAT scans of breast cancer, diagnosing that. We'll look at lung x-rays, and can you tell if you have pneumonia from those? We'll look at whale images, and can we identify whales from the tail of the whale that we have there? Whole projects of that. We'll look at business stuff, and can you predict this? What videos someone should be watching based on their past watching predictions there. Can we predict the price of Bitcoin given the past price of Bitcoin there? So there'll be lots of examples we'll look at. And a lot of times you'll have a choice between one, because again, some of you are coming from more of maybe a business area. Maybe some of you are more interested in healthcare. Some of you are more interested in science. So we'll try to have at least two different options as far as choosing what application for every problem. So you'll see that frequently in our projects there. So, okay, I'm going to skip over the rest of this. So again, I suggest you watch. I actually like that whole Google AI Adventure series, but I'm going to jump here and look into this. This is an introduction that I created to machine learning, and I've adapted from a couple things. I want to just give you a brief history. I don't use PowerPoints very much, so this is kind of exciting. I get to do a PowerPoint today. So I think this is the only PowerPoint in the entire class. So feel excited about a PowerPoint day today. So, um, okay. Back in the olden days, like when I was in school, we learned things. We had to program everything into computers there and program these algorithms. And there are some standard algorithms: shortest distance, A star algorithm, min max search. These are the methods that are used. Like if you play chess against a computer or something like that, that uses a min max search and how many look aheads it does have. If you use Google Maps and or any sort of map, and then you're just finding this, how to go from here to here, that's the A star algorithm. It's a well-known shortest distance algorithm out there for it. It's also, I mean, any video game you have where you've got like enemies going from one place to the other, they are always using A star often, to figure out how to get from one place to another, those non-player characters. So again, there's lots of this traditional AI. It was hard. We had to program a lot of stuff into here to get it to work in the olden days. Then we started doing machine learning in the 90s. So this is probably still before you sort of time. So before you kind of times. And again, this is where we came up with a lot of these data-driven training models: support vector machines, k-nearest neighbor, decision trees, random forests. We started having neural networks here. All these and again, we'll look at these. We still use these a lot today. So again, these are supervised learning where, again, we're looking at some data and we're like trying to classify the oranges from the greens here and try to figure out if some new data element is hit. Should this be an orange or green? And some of these draw lines to divide these. Some of them try to find the nearest neighbors. And we'll learn more about these, but they're doing something like that. And again, they're looking with a bunch of labeled data, and then once you have all that labeled data, you create some sort of model. And then when new data elements like this new spot here comes up, we can say, oh, should this be an orange or should this be a green here? And again, maybe the orange are malignant tumors and the greens are benign tumors in this multidimensional, space or something like that. Or maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something else. So we kept going this in the 90s. We started adding unsupervised learning because we found we had a lot of data that wasn't labeled here. Like this was a lot of customer data here. So if we have a lot of customers out here, we want to maybe break customers into clusters so that we say, oh, this type of cluster, these customers will like these products and these customers will like these products or stuff like that. But we don't have them labeled. So we use some data to predict this. So there's methods to try to cluster our data together so we can make better predictions of this sort of stuff. So we added that. Now, we were doing neural networks in the 90s. In fact, I was in grad school during neural networks in the 90s, and it was okay. But at some point, it kind of lost favor. We kept hitting roadblocks where AI, neural networks could not do what we wanted them to do. Other models were just doing better. I did my PhD thesis on neural networks, and it basically said, this isn't working very well. I hope these models, we're training them, they're just not working that well, was largely what my thesis ended up being, because again, you run these models and it just did not do that well. So we called this the second neural network winter in the 2000s. Here, where neural networks are basically banished here, and these other systems go. And so most of the funding, most of the companies, most of the research was in these other areas here for this. But around 2010, we rebranded neural networks as deep learning here, and we got faster GPUs and bigger data sets. And we just learned that if you just kept plugging away at this, neural networks could do new stuff. So again, AI is this huge area. Machine learning is a area within that that really talks about training now. And today, almost every time we say AI, we're talking about machine learning. And in modern systems, like all the generative AI systems, all the large language models, those are all neural networks and in particular deep learning. So all those models live in here, but they're all still considered AI and are all still considered machine learning for this. So some researchers had kept working on this and worked on this. And so once you start diving into deep learning neural networks, you kind of leave all these regression, all these simple models behind for you. But again, because they're not solving the really hard problems which you're interested in. So we then do neural networks are based on actual neurons. And so we model neurons mathematically at some level. So we'll talk about ways of doing this. So we create a model, a mathematical model for a neuron. We then, each one of these nodes is like a neuron. And then we group these together in layers. There we have weights that connect these stuff. We then build even more complicated mathematical models for some of these neurons to try different things. We'll layer these together like the visual cortex in more complicated models here. We'll then put lots of layers together. This is where we get into deep learning, where we just, back in the 90s, this is what we had. We had a lot of 3-layer neural networks, and they did a lot, but they ran into problems pretty fast. And so it's not until we started building, 10-layer networks, 20, 100-layer neural networks here. So this is the like 34-layer networks for this sort of stuff that we really started to see models that could do different things. And that's what we'll be building a lot in our systems is these more complicated models eventually. And again, our computing ramped up. I don't know if you're familiar with GPUs. So they are special processors in computing. They're really, if you've used them, you've probably used them in game playing there. So if you play games on your PC, you probably have a GPU to play those games. Over break, my daughter lent me her PS4 because again, I wanted to play some games, and all I have at home is my Scholastica laptop, and it just sucks at playing games. I just cannot play even 15-year-old, any sort of graphical game. It just was so slow because it doesn't have a GPU in it there. And so again, GPUs are made to do graphics very fast there. And so your PS5, your Xbox, your PS4, yeah, those gaming systems certainly have GPUs in them, and so does these computers. What we found is that we could use these and reprogram them to do neural networks very fast. And so at some point around 2010, we ramped up how we learned better and better how to do fast computation with these stuff. And that really helped. So we created more advanced, different kinds of networks, do different things. We looked at brought in some old learning into these systems here. ChatGPT was trained a lot with this reinforcement from human feedback stuff. We had to tokenize language models, so we have to learn a little bit about that and how we encode words into numerical ways. And again, all of these things helped us. We'll see that if we don't do a tokenization or word encoding correctly, the models stink. And then when we do it correctly, the models work so much better here. We learned what attention is and developing attention. We finally got to these transformer models. This was 2017 where this first transformer model came up. And any of the GPT, the T is transformer model. So the T in all of these is the transformer. So this is the model almost all of your systems are using today there. So we'll walk through that. So we'll try to get up that, and again, we'll try to talk a little bit more about that. Now, what's not in here is now what we've added to this class is once we have these large language models, can we create agents to use them to do tasks we want there? And how do we create agents? How do we program, or how do we use these language models in different ways? So we'll do some of that. Okay, that's your quick history of machine learning. for us. Okay, I mentioned I wanted to show you Jupyter notebooks a little bit. Here are two introductions to it. We'll be using Jupyter notebooks. So here's a introduction by DataQuest. It talks about what these notebooks are and walks you through that. They're stored in an IPYNB file. It used to be called Iron Python, so a notebook. So this was short for Iron Python notebook file here. But again, you will generally not even see that. There'll be cells that are either for code or for what we call not markdown for text in here. And you can review that. I'm just actually going to jump into this welcome to Google Collaboratory because that's what we'll be using. So this is what a notebook is kind of look like here. There'll be, again, what we call markdown text explaining what the notebook does here. And then there'll be code. And so this code we can run here. We can click that'll run. It'll execute this code and do something with it to display some results here. So every week, every Thursday, I'll provide you with a new notebook, which will walk us through some section of some new topic in machine learning that we'll work through here. So we'll work through this. Now, this is all done through with Google Colab, which is similar to Google Docs. So I don't know if you've been using Google Docs very much, but we'll be using these, which is very similar. So again, you will log in with your CSS account, your Google account here. And again, you can save these, you can create notebooks, you make copies of the notebooks. And in fact, if I go to Google Drive, I will see under my workspace, no, under my drive, that's where it's at now. I'll see a Colab notebook area. And so all your notebooks will be here. And again, you probably want to create a folder for this class and just store all your notebooks in that folder. So I don't know if you're used to using Google Drive and storing things up there, but we will be using that. That's where all of these notebooks will be stored, is in that. So I'll give you a link every week to that. So like this week, the notebook here's your notebook. I'll click on that and it'll open up the notebook in here in Google Drive or in Colab. Now we're using Google Colab, but this is a pretty wide, well-known area. So Microsoft has something called a Microsoft Azure notebooks. Amazon has something called Amazon SageMaker notebooks. They're all their own names for the same notebook. I can take the exact same notebook and move it from one place to the other. They all are Iron or Jupyter notebooks or Iron Python notebooks. So you can run them there. You can actually run this. You can download something called Anaconda on your computer and run it on your own computer here. We'll actually do this on Kaggle for some of their competitions and run it on here. I'll just mention Kaggle again. So we'll play a little bit with Kaggle. Kaggle hosts a bunch of competitions here, and they have prizes here. We'll actually do a number of their they're getting started projects that are ongoing. So like predicting house prices or stuff like that. We'll do, there's a number of these getting started notebooks, which we'll do here. So we'll do the digit recognition one, for example, here. But generally at the end, we'll start looking at some of the more, the competitive ones. So again, we'll look, and again, I haven't looked at them yet this year, but again, we will try to look at some of these what, again, these are all done. We're not going to learn enough or do enough so that you can win a prize for these, but some of these competitions are kind of fun to try out and work on. So we'll watch these. And again, there'll be an option to try out some of those later on. We'll actually try out a number of the older ones that are still there in some of the projects also. Okay, so that's the different options. Again, we'll stick with Google Colab and run all of our stuff. But again, there are all the vendors support these sorts of notebooks also. So questions on this? I want to just track. I don't track attendance, or I don't score or at all on attendance, but I like to learn your names. I'm very bad with names. So why don't you just go around and well, just to be fair, let's everyone give me your name. So why don't we start, Johnny? Johnny. Hey, there's Johnny. Good to go. Okay.
Basically. No.
Yep.
Andrew.
Evan. Okay. Sounds good. Okay, I think we're ready to wrap up today. I'm gonna let you go a little early again. If you want, you can, this is a good time to go over the explore activity if you want and do that. If you want to work on this some more, if you want to start the discussion, you can do that. And on Thursday, we'll work on the learning activity class. Sound good? All right. Zeke, I'm gonna shut down the Zoom recording also. So. Right.